Big head, tiny mouth, sensitive ears.
Tell the folks about your new hat
God cursed me.
and where you got it from.
And I said thank you. Huh?
I said thank you.
Yeah, new hat, new me.
Yeah. Where'd you get it from? Big head.
I got it from Fine-Ass Threads for BigAssHeads.com, a.k.a. Odd Job Hats, which caters to people with big old melons. Maybe I should use different terminology. Caters to people with big old heads.
Noggins.
Yeah, big old noggins, which is me. So my head continued to grow after my mouth had stopped.
Yeah, it's tragic.
Yes, truly. So I went on and I was like, this is actually kind of a story because I got the first hat from oddjobhats.com. Happy to sponsor them if they're interested.
Oh, oddjobhats.com.
And I was very satisfied with it because finally a hat fit my head.
How did you find them? Did you just type in like hats for big heads?
Yes, exactly. Pretty much word for word. And I looked through the selection. I got a hat. I was very satisfied with it. I saw this other hat, which I'm wearing right now.
It's lovely.
It says it's a blue and white hat. It has good life and little lemons underneath it. Feel the burn. And I liked it a lot. I got it. Came in the mail. Big fan. I was like, all right, I am fully invested. I am going to get a hat with custom embroidery. So I designed my own hat logo.
Amazing.
It was very cool. It was like a sort of like a Greek style lion from the side.
That's incredible.
With some constellations behind it on a blue background. And it said, go with heart.
Oh!
Which I just like that phrase.
I love that.
And
Merch.
Merch. And I set it off for the hat to be made with the custom embroidery.
Yeah.
I got it the other day and it looked like fucking shit. It looks so bad.
Are you serious?
It's a trash ass hat.
Wait, why? How?
The custom embroidery just was a complete disappointment.
How?
They did not embroider it very well customly. And
Like, was the thread bad? The colors, like, it didn't look like the thing? Like, what about it was bad?
colors are fine, but the thread was too thin. It wasn't covering the areas it was supposed to cover. It just looks so bad. And I emailed them and I was like, hey, I'm not satisfied with your product right now.
This is fucked.
This is fucked.
Like, compared to the other shit that you produce, this is fucked.
You, over the past month, I said to them, I said, you've made me so happy, Odd Job Hat. And you have stolen away that happiness.
Oh, no.
So I would love a refund. And within like the same day, they gave me a refund.
Really?
So very satisfied with the service. To all of my, well, fellow big head people.
Okay.
To all of our big head listeners, if you want a hat for your head, because where else would you get one? Then I would recommend Odd Job. They can get you a whole bunch of big hats.
That sounds like a jingle. If you want a hat for your head, because where else are you gonna get one? Then go to, what is it called?
Odd Job.
Go to Odd Jobs for your hats.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. Give you a workshop a little bit.
And
give you a workshop.
Put it on your big one.
Oh, hell yeah. All right. You came back. You stuck the landing.
It was hard. But
How
I did it.
about that? Yeah. Life has been a whirlwind recently.
Yeah, tell me about it.
When this comes out, I will be 30.
Lurdy.
Look who's 30.
Exciting.
And here's a message to future Dylan as he listens to this. It's okay to be 30. A lot of people are. A lot of people are even older than that. Your youth isn't behind you because you were never youthful. You were pretty much born 30 years old. And if anything, this is just confirmation that you are where you're supposed to be.
You've actually finally grown into your actual age.
I've grown into my actual age. I've grown into my actual hat.
Yeah.
And it is truly a beautiful thing. Why? I don't have reasons at the moment.
Okay.
But I'm sure I will.
Okay.
Sometime in my 30s, I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Going to be a great decade. Going to do a lot of camping.
Yeah.
Going to do a lot of art. But yeah, how are things with you? What's new with you, huh?
Things are great.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I kind of just like dumped everything in the last episode. I feel
No.
kind of bad.
Is that everything that's happened in your life?
No, and there's lots of other things, I'm sure.
Great.
Just gotta think of them.
And go.
Yes, I went back to visit my mother the last weekend. It was lovely. We got to like watch all our old favorite movies. And why is that face for?
No, I'm listening.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to see your favorite movies.
Okay, sorry. The face that Dylan was giving me was like,
Yeah.
and what? Like that was the face he was. Okay.
What movies?
So we watched a lot of Stephen King.
Okay.
It's very nostalgic for me. I grew up watching Stephen King.
He looks like a monster. I'm so sorry.
He actually is in Creepshow.
He is.
He turns into one.
He turns into one of the creeps?
Yeah, actually.
Damn.
Yeah.
I have nothing but respect for Stephen King. He's an amazing author.
Yeah.
Kind of a weird looking guy.
I would agree with that.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
From one weird looking guy to another. Honestly, not a big deal. So what movies did you watch?
So we watched It, the original It.
Okay.
The miniseries with Tim Curry.
Tim Curry is one of my favorite actors.
Me too.
Yeah.
Tim Curry and Jim Carrey are probably up there for like my two favorite actors.
Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey. Fucking love Jim Carrey.
Jim Curry.
Jim Curry. I also love curry. But yeah, so we watched the original It with Tim Curry. And then
I think Jim Carrey would make a good It.
Yeah, he probably would.
Like he killed in The Grinch.
Yeah, he would actually probably make a really good It.
Yeah, although I don't know if audiences would take him seriously as like a horror actor.
I doubt that, but he plays dramatic roles so well, which is one of the reasons I love him so much, because I love the comedy that he does, and I also love the dramatic things that he does. Like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is my absolute favorite movie.
It's a very good movie.
So freaking good. Highly recommend if you haven't watched it. It is the inspiration for Ariana Grande's newest album, and with her being my favorite artist, the two combined has been my whole identity for the past year.
Right, you have a coloring book for Ariana Grande.
I do.
Right.
But yeah, so we watched It. We watched Rose Red.
I'm not familiar.
It is about a house that it's do you know the Winchester Mystery House?
Yes.
It's inspired by that.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So if you think of like that, how like there was constant building and like the building never stopped, and she was always like trying to do weird topsy-turvy things with the building. It's like that, and then the house kind of like consumes you. Like you don't leave.
It's pretty much like the horror of renovation.
Yeah, genuinely.
Yeah, truly.
Yeah.
So what else? What else did you watch?
We watched
A movie marathon.
Misery.
Oh, I read pretty much all of that book up until the very end. And I
Love
stopped reading
Misery.
it.
And Dolores Claiborne. Those are two of my favorites.
Oh.
Dolores Claiborne is less of a horror and more of a thriller.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really good. It's about this woman who is accused of murdering the person that she's a caretaker for this old woman. And she's accused of murdering this rich elderly woman. And her daughter comes back to defend her, and the police that is accusing her is on her case because he thinks that she is guilty for another murder in her past that she might have gotten away with.
Huh.
It's very, very good. It's one of my favorites.
So check those out.
It's dark, but it's very good.
Yeah, Stephen King is such an interesting guy.
Mm-hmm.
He said he didn't remember anything that he did when he was writing Cujo.
Really?
Yeah, he was just so high on cocaine
That's so funny.
that he doesn't remember writing that book, according to him.
I'd believe it.
Yeah, which is wild. Just a fantastic writer. He said write 2,000 words a day. Jeez.
Really?
Yeah. I don't even know 2,000 words.
Yeah, you don't, huh?
But,
really tragic.
Yeah, I'm glad things are going well with you.
Yeah, it was lovely. We had a nice little movie marathon. We made enchiladas. I baked cookies if you'd like to have them before you leave.
Oh, that sounds delightful.
They're my famous secret cookies that nobody's allowed to have the recipe to.
What's in it?
Very funny.
What kind of cookies are they?
Just chocolate chip.
Oh, so is it the
chips.
kind of chocolate chip cookie, or is it
They're just chocolate chip cookies.
Okay.
But it's a certain type of chocolate chip cookie that makes them superior. And I can't tell you what that is without revealing the secret recipe.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's okay.
All right.
All right. So yeah, if you want to be my friend, you can have a cookie.
Okay. Deal.
I'll get out like a van. Like
Yeah, that's terrifying.
friends for cookies.
Yeah, you should definitely do that. You don't exactly fit the demographic of the kind of person who would do that, but
That's why I'd be so perfect at it.
yeah.
Like, I would literally say, so whenever I was also too young to be watching it, I would watch Weeds in high school, and literally as a freshman, like 8th grade, 9th grade, Madison was like, I would be the best drug dealer, knowing nothing about drugs, but I'd be the best drug dealer because I know nothing about drugs.
Yeah.
And because, look at me.
Nobody would suspect you.
Nobody would suspect.
Yeah.
I'd be amazing. You'd come to me and they'd think like, oh, you're just getting help with your homework. Oh, she's just being nice. I am being nice. Being very friendly.
Are you a drug dealer on the side?
No.
Can you admit that right now?
Yes.
That's crazy. That's wild.
No.
I mean, you sold me drugs before, but I thought it was just like a one-off thing.
You're just friends. Just between friends.
Yeah.
Again, if you're
I gotta remove
if
all
you're
that.
friends with me,
I gotta remove all of the
you can have
you
cookie.
selling me drugs. Yeah. But welcome, folks, to My Existential Crisis.
The podcast where we talk about all the things that make us question our entire sense of self. My name is Madison Epley.
And my name is Dylan Berger.
Dylan, what do you have for us today?
Well, I have something pretty interesting. I heard an astonishing fact
Okay.
the other day that really got in my head.
That big old noggin of yours.
He has a rattle around inside of there.
Plenty of space.
Yeah. On average, the brains of cadavers who died in 2024 contained an estimated 5 to 7 grams of plastic, which is the weight of a typical credit card.
What the fuck?
Yeah, that's about half of 1% of your brain's mass that isn't even brain.
Oh, wow.
And though I think it's a funny idea to try to swipe your head at the checkout line, I also don't know if that joke is coming from me or the fucked up part of my brain that's riddled with plastic shards.
Shit.
There's really no way to tell. Today, I'm going to be talking about the emerging horror of microplastics.
Okay.
Madison, how much plastic do you eat on a daily basis?
Probably a lot more than I think. I mean, I usually...
What about how much do you think? Like, how much do you intentionally eat?
You know, an average amount.
Yeah, which is...
A couple wrappers here and there.
Of course.
Yeah. Swallow some gum.
Yeah. And what is gum if not plastic?
It actually
In a way.
is.
Yeah.
I
It
read,
is?
I read that the other day. There is plastic in gum. You are essentially chewing plastic.
Holy Toledo. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that.
It is terrible for the environment.
I mean, it's terrible for the body.
Yeah. It's terrible for everything.
Well, unless you're a sea turtle or a pelican, the answer to that question that I asked is probably 0. You probably don't eat. You're not a sea turtle or a pelican.
I am neither of those things. Maybe one day.
Now, we might use plastic to contain our food. We might even make the mistake of putting that plastic in the microwave and having it melt slightly with your pad thai.
Ayo.
And you still eat it anyway because it was $20.
Is that a true story?
Yeah. But unless we have some kind of condition, we don't purposefully eat plastic. Well, it turns out that doesn't even matter because we've been eating plastic anyway. How much do you know about microplastics right off the bat?
I know a decent amount of microplastics and that they are everywhere and that they are pretty much impossible to filter out.
Yeah.
That's what I know.
Yeah.
Is that accurate?
Yeah, I would say that is pretty accurate for the most part. Now, the U.S. EPA defines microplastics in general as plastic particles ranging in size from 5 millimeters, about the size of a pencil eraser, to 1 nanometer. To provide some context, a strand of human hair is about 80,000 nanometers wide. So these little guys can vary pretty considerably.
Yeah.
I'll be talking a little about the history of the microplastic panic, the terrifying effects of microplastics on the body, and what we can and can't do about it. Now, the history of microplastics goes way back, and you, like me, probably first heard about them in the context of marine life.
Yes.
The first instance dates back to the late 1960s with the discovery of plastic pieces in the stomachs of albatrosses,
Really?
which is a little ironic given their colloquial use, with an albatross being used metaphorically to describe a deep psychological burden associated with guilt or shame
Yeah.
that feels like a curse.
Damn, that is ironic.
So we're already off to a great start.
Jeez Louise.
Jeez Louise, indeed. Now, years later, there were reports of plastic litter on the beaches of an island in Alaska, the quantity of which more than doubled between 1972 and 74. And a few years after that, more reports came in concerning plastic found in the stomachs of animals, which is something we don't want.
Mm-hmm.
Not only because it's bad for the animals, but because we eat them.
Yes.
In the following years, interest around the subject continued to grow. And in 1987, a review of 29 different works looked at the growing presence of plastics in the stomachs of seabirds. So there was really no denying it. Now, it seemed like microplastics were becoming a serious problem to marine life. It was only in 2004, however, that the term microplastics was coined. The term referred to fibers and granular plastic fragments of a certain dimension. Since the early 2000s, there's been a rising trend of published work and public efforts surrounding the ocean and microplastics, with attempts made to mitigate the crisis. And I feel like a good deal of progress has been made. Mm-hmm. We have paper straws, which are famously unpopular.
Yes.
People hate them.
They are not great.
I've never had any kind of issue with them personally.
I will say it depends on the kind of paper straw that you use and what you're sucking out of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I used to work for a milkshake. I used to work at a place called Valley Dairy. It was like a diner / like Sunday bar.
Okay.
And they had paper straws there. They've always had paper straws because it was tradition.
Mm-hmm.
And they would disintegrate in your mouth. But then we went
as tradition.
Tradition, as is tradition. But then we went to the cruise that we just went on, and they always had paper straws, and they were wonderful.
Oh.
Literally could not tell the difference.
Honestly, I love paper straws when they're made of plastic. That's what I like.
Honestly, that's ideal.
Yeah. So we have paper straws. We've removed microbeads from beauty products.
Yes.
There's been a conscious effort to dial back the plastics in general. Before we continue, though, curious, if the Little Mermaid were made today, what do you think she'd collect?
Oh, no.
What do you think she'd collect? Grocery bags?
Probably. She'd probably, you know what she'd probably collect? She'd probably collect, you know, whenever you buy like a can of soda or like a
like
bunch
those
of sodas. A bunch of sodas.
Like the can holder?
Yes. Like the plastic can holder. Like a dozen of sodas. What do you call it? A pack of sodas? I don't drink soda. I don't know the terminology.
I only get them out of boxes.
Like a handle?
A handle of
soda? It comes with a handle.
Yeah, no, it's like the I know what you're talking about.
Okay,
the audience does too, I hope.
Hopefully they do. The plastic little ringlets that go around the soda cans.
Yeah, plastic ringlets. Those make beautiful bracelets.
That's what I was thinking. They make really beautiful bracelets. She could probably like collect them and they last forever.
Truly forever.
Yeah.
Or maybe like those cheap white chairs that you see.
Yes.
Do you think Tide Pods would be a rare delicacy like they are to us?
Actually, probably because they
melt in the water.
Oh, right? Exactly. So like if you get a full one, that's a treat.
Yeah,
you can watch it melt.
Now, as you know, the problem of microplastics would spread beyond the sea, onto land, and eventually into our brains. Because as it turns out, plastic has a tendency to break into smaller and smaller particles, finding its way onto our skin and into our diets. Mm-hmm. If you've ever used a plastic cutting board, if you've ever worn clothing made out of polyester or nylon, if you used toothpaste, if you used cleaning products, if you've innocently microwaved your pad thai container, if you've been around dust or rain, if you've breathed the air, microplastics have likely entered your system.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah. In fact, a 1 liter water bottle contains about 240,000 tiny pieces of plastic.
Jeez Louise.
Multiply that by the number of water bottles you've used in your life, and things get dire. But hey, what harm can lots of little plastic pieces do to your body? Well, I'm glad I asked, because I'm about to get into it.
My existential crisis, for real.
Now, let's start off with a fun statistic from a 2024 New York Post article. According to the publication, microplastics contribute to a $250 billion yearly health crisis in the U.S. alone. Judging by the cost of healthcare, that's like one person, probably.
Yeah.
It's
not that much, honestly.
No, it's like an ambulance ride.
It's pretty affordable.
In all seriousness, and let's be serious. Microplastics can be incredibly harmful. Researchers have found that microplastics are linked to a wide range of issues, such as cancer, lung disease, heart disease and heart attacks, inflammatory bowel disease, chronic diseases, congenital disabilities, cytotoxicity or cell death, tissue damage, strokes, reproductive issues, endocrine disruption, weight gain, insulin resistance, changes in the gut microbiome, and anxiety.
LOL.
However, indirectly.
It's literally just microplastics, guys.
That's it. Now, you might be wondering why or how microplastics affect the body in these ways. There are a few things we can point to, though research is still a little limited in this area. We can point to the chemicals in and on microplastic particles, including plastic components, BPA, phthalates, heavy metals can be present and are known to cause disruption to human health. There's growing evidence that suggests microplastics magnify the potency of other toxins like cadmium. And some researchers have speculated that microplastics have the potential to carry antibiotic-resistant bacteria and other pathogens on their surfaces. I haven't even gotten to the worst of it yet, though.
Oh, shit.
Microplastics have been found in placentas and fetal bodies.
Oh, my gosh.
Reports have also claimed that babies have 15 times more microplastics in their bodies than adults, attributed to their chewing on pacifiers.
Oh my gosh.
So what that means is microplastics are inescapable, present even before birth.
Wow.
It makes sense now why there's a credit card's worth of plastic in your brain, and I'm honestly surprised there isn't more given the circumstances.
Yeah.
So how do we escape this microprison?
Please tell me, Dylan.
Yeah.
Is the answer we don't? I'll cry.
You know how I mentioned earlier that we have a credit card worth of plastic in our brain?
Uh-huh.
And by earlier, I mean like a second ago?
Uh-huh.
Well, some estimates claim that certain populations consume a credit card worth of plastic every week. Depending on where in the world you live, the amount of microplastics you consume will differ pretty dramatically. Here in the U.S., it's not great, but it's also not a credit card worth of plastic. Dietary intake in the U.S. comes to about 2.4 grams. If you had to guess, where do you think in the world people consume the most microplastics?
I would say probably, I want to say like India, because it's very overpopulated. And like if you've seen some of those rivers, it is just like trash.
Interesting. Well, Southeast Asia topped the charts with Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Philippines at the very top. According to one study, Indonesians eat about 15 grams of microplastics every month, which is more than any other country.
Oh my gosh.
I honestly don't know what to say to that. Maybe they should make credit cards with chips in them. You know?
Hate it here.
But back to my point. How do we live a microplastic-less life? Well, here are a few changes you can make. Don't microwave plastic. Even if it means losing your pad thai. Don't do it. It's not worth it.
Was it worth it back then?
Yeah.
Did you know?
Yeah, it was worth it. But for you, don't do it.
You're saying, do as I say, not as I do.
Right. Get a refillable glass water bottle instead of using plastic ones.
What about metal?
Metal is also good.
What
but
if
I mean, far in the future, 10, 20 years from now, they're probably going to talk about micrometals.
I was going to say, literally.
Yeah.
What do we do?
I'm trying to, I mean, I'll get to it, but I don't know if it's going to be satisfactory.
It's not.
How many water bottles do you use typically?
My same one that I have here.
You never drink from plastic water bottles?
No, not if I can avoid it. Why? Do you?
Not often, no. Shift to reusables in general, moving away from things like grocery bags. Eat lower on the food chain, focusing on more grains, fruits, and vegetables, because toxins tend to accumulate in animals higher up in the food chain. Mm-hmm. Use homemade cleaners instead of store-bought chemicals. Filter your tap water. Use high-efficiency particulate air filters. Avoid cosmetics that contain plastics. Avoid excessive clothes washing. Maintain proper tire pressure.
Why?
I know that sounds strange, but car tires are a significant source of microplastic pollution in the air.
Really?
Yeah.
And so what does maintaining the tire pressure do? Like less drag and friction?
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
And limit seafood consumption.
Damn, that's
and
fucking
I guess
sucks.
seabird consumption too.
I love seafood.
Yeah, I love seabird. Yeah, it's a damn shame. Now, I know that's a pretty long list, but it's a good place to start. As for detoxing from microplastics, that is kind of a tough one.
Yeah.
I know you have a lot of medical knowledge. If you had to just guess at what might be able to detox a body of microplastics,
This is something that I have thought about before, because microplastics in general is something that stresses me the hell out.
Does it?
It does, genuinely, because there's so much of it all around us. It's causing so many health issues, and it will never go away. It does not decompose. Mm-hmm. So how do it just keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
So yeah, what do you do? Your first thought goes to, if they're particles, then you get a net. But then it's going to go right through that net, and other things that you do need are not going to, you can't, it's not.
I mean, ironically enough, fishing nets are one of the causes of microplastics in the ocean.
Yes, exactly. And then a magnet, but they're not magnetic. Magnet, if they were magnetic, that would be the answer. I think about that all the time.
Just like putting a magnet on your stomach and then moving it up to your throat and out of your mouth.
Yes. Just like that. So if someone can create a plastic magnet for microplastics, I will be the first one to try it out. I'll vomit up plastic for you.
Yeah, it's truly a terrifying thing. And I feel like it's sort of been at the back of people's minds because of more pressing issues today.
Yeah.
Speaking politically. Mm-hmm. But it is becoming more and more prevalent in public discourse about what to do.
Well, I will also say that what you said about how we as Americans don't consume not nearly as much plastic as the Malaysia and the Philippines, that makes so much sense. And that's the other thing that is so wrong about microplastics, is because we are reaping the benefits and we're not seeing the effects that it has on the environment and the people that create it and who are dealing with the disposal of these plastics.
Right.
And then you go to areas like Malaysia, and they have you seen the clothes mountain?
No.
It's it's literally like a desert mountain range, but it's full of clothes. Clothes that are discarded, whether it is by fast fashion like Shein, or whether it is just by clothes, even designer clothes that are just discarded and thrown away for just ridiculous reasons. There's just mounds and mounds of clothes that are also causing that pollution. Yeah. It's no wonder. It's also a disproportionate, I forget the fucking word for it, but it's what is the word that I'm trying to think of? I'm trying to think of how we have that privilege, and it's disproportionately affecting those communities who are impoverished, because they're the ones who are creating the plastics that we are benefiting from.
Yeah. So, I mean, thinking more broadly here, the solution would be either developing plastics that don't deteriorate like this and fragment into smaller and smaller pieces, which seems to be a quality of the plastics that we have now.
Well,
in mass.
They have the prop. Let me get on my soapbox.
Yeah.
We have created materials like plastic that retain their longevity, but the problem is they're more expensive to make, and that people would have to change their factories to produce them.
Yeah.
And that costs money, and people are greedy, and they care more about the right now than the later.
Right. Which is just, I guess, symptomatic of the world that we live in at the moment. It would require incredible coordination.
Yeah.
That we've kind of seen the stirrings of with certain countries, but not on such a massive scale. And with current administration's approach to, environmental, I guess, regulation.
Yeah, regulation.
It's unlikely we're going to see much progress in the near future.
No, but even if you just the common sense aspect of it, politics aside, why it's easier to fish and enjoy the nature around you without wading through literal plastic, literal trash.
Yeah.
Why would you for example, near the beaches, you can't you can't have plastic within a certain amount of radius. If you go to a beach in the US, even most grocery chains will only have either reusable bags or paper bags. They won't give you plastic. Common sense things like that. Or even in some of the countries who do have to manufacture and produce these things, like Kenya, they have a no plastics law.
Really?
You cannot have plastics. You cannot purchase anything with plastic in it.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So there will be paper straws in Kenya. Things are mostly glass. Things are refillable. Things are reusable. And it's also then to help those communities who are already struggling to get water so that their brand new water that was just created for them that is healthy for them, that doesn't get polluted.
It's a very complicated issue.
Yeah.
And, you know, you can do some of the things that were outlined in that list that I read off, you know, changing your behavior and the things that you do and the products that you use. But plastic really is everywhere. Mm-hmm. And we're not feeling the effects of it quite yet, but we're going to. And future generations are going to.
For sure.
So as for detoxing from microplastics, outside of inventing a plastic magnet, it's kind of a tough one. Yeah. So some people recommend blood or plasma donation.
Okay.
To reduce the level of microplastics and forever chemicals in your body.
How?
They think that it's just getting the plastics and forever chemicals out of your body.
And then donating it to somebody else?
Yeah.
Shit.
And then just having your body create more blood that's clean.
Damn.
Is one idea. But doing that somewhat regularly to continuously recycle
I see.
the blood in your body.
But then how do you even guarantee that like the microplastics aren't sticking around?
There's really no way to tell. Mm-hmm. Others recommend deep breathing exercises.
To calm down from the existential weight that we bear.
Not even that, just to get the particulates in the air of microplastics out of the lungs.
Oh, okay.
Uh-huh.
It's like an actual reason.
Yeah, so you get them out of your lungs and then you breathe back.
Them in. You breathe them back in.
Uh-huh. And then they're back in there. So there really are very few ways to detox from microplastics at the moment. And with all the research coming out, it seems like they are in our bodies, well and comfortable in placentas and fetuses in our brains.
Yeah. It feels like a Black Mirror episode. Like there has to be like an episode where like people are getting treated for microplastic illnesses and there's like a whole clinic for it.
Yeah. And there are plenty of illnesses that are linked to this kind of thing. But of course, you know, not to be alarmist, you know, the research is still somewhat limited and young. So can't really say too much concretely quite yet.
But that's almost like why it's scarier, is because the research is so infantile and yet it is such a huge issue and it's all around us and it's only growing more substantially.
Yeah.
But yeah, not to be alarmist. Not to scare anybody.
Yeah. So as for detox, you know, kind of a shrug, but most measures are preventive and there's less to do after the fact. Now, society has grappled with other dangerous substances before. There was lead.
Yeah.
There was asbestos.
Yeah.
Now there are microplastics. But unlike lead and asbestos, microplastics really are everywhere. They are in the clothes you wear, the water you drink, the food you eat. You can't live a modern life without being exposed to plastic. You can't be a fish in the sea or a bird in the sky. And though I outlined a few ways you can exclude microplastics from your life, it really does feel like a consolation.
Yeah.
I hate to conclude things on such a bitter note, but there's a cost to convenience. There's a cost to accepting the terms of an industrialized world. And we may not feel that cost quite yet, but it is compounding inside of us. Even so, we can still extract some poetic irony from the situation.
Okay.
In saying that, yes, we are very much a product of our environment in more ways than we ever intended. Sources are the Toronto Star, US EPA, Science Direct, Wikipedia, WashU, NIH, New York Post, Clean Hub, Harvard Medicine Magazine, Nature, United Nations Development Program, Newsweek, UCSF, PIRG, and Sanguine Optimist on Reddit.
Damn. Thank you, Dylan.
Sure thing. Just a quick episode, just to keep it in the public consciousness about microplastics and something that is easy to forget, but we should keep in mind, no pun intended.
Yeah. Yikes. 100%. No, I love that. And I love that you always bring like these different episodes that are still so relevant and topical and poignant.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for that.
Oh, they're a pleasure to write.
Amazing.
All
they're
right, folks.
A pain to sit in my brain. So thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed that. Dylan, thank you again for that wonderful episode. If you like what you hear, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Emmy Crisis Pod. You can send us an email at myexistentialcrisispodcast@gmail.com. You can send us a review. Let us know how you like it. You can rate us and like and subscribe.
Yeah, rate us 5 stars on Spotify.
Yeah, Spotify or Apple Music.
Or YouTube, if they have 5 stars.
Somebody
Probably
wrote a 1-star.
What?
And it's the only review we have.
What?
And I can't figure out. I don't have the
Those fuckers.
account passwords. I don't know who did it or like what they said or anything. It's just so funny. We just have 1 star.
Damn.
It's brutal.
Who gives a fuck?
Yeah, I don't give a shit.
I actually don't care at all.
No, I don't care.
It's
It's really fine, guys. That's why we're asking you to do this, because it's really okay.
You don't have to.
No, you don't have to. It would just make Dylan's life, I think. And he's getting older.
In my old age.
So keep that in
all
mind.
I want is a couple of stars.
All he wants. And he deserves it, guys. He can't get a Hollywood star, but maybe he can get a podcast star.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your candor and your honesty.
You're welcome. But where can they find you?
They can find me on Marble Folk on Instagram.
Amazing. And you don't need to find me. I'm not interesting at all.
Well, you're on Instagram.
I'm on Instagram, Madison.Epley. That's it. But yeah, thanks guys. And we will catch you next week.
All right, folks.
Bye.
Bye.